Good morning. Welcome to my Good Life Meditation. My name is Kurt, and this is an exercise that I do every day, a little bit after waking up, to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use the time to think about the last 24 hours and what I did to manage the challenges and the opportunities that I met during that time. I go over the 8 objectives of my creed, and I plan for the coming day. All right, so first, welcome to new subscribers to the channel. It's great to have you here. A little disclaimer, this is Japan, and this is a Japan-focused channel for the most part, but this particular video, this Good Life Meditation, think of it more like a personal journal, so you're welcome to join, but don't expect a lot of Japan. It's mostly just me talking about how I'm trying to live a better life, live well, according to the definition of how I define well to be. More about that in a second. I'll also thank you for your support. I had a melon pan and a coffee earlier at Mini Stop. Thanks to all of you. Maybe it's getting so nice and the sun is coming up so early. Maybe I'll start buying the melon pan and the coffee and come over here to the park. Mini Stop is right over there, and maybe I'll just start doing that as of tomorrow. This is Yara Koen, the park for the community where I live. That's our community shrine right there. And this is where we always, sorry, I'm spinning the camera all over the place. This is where we have our festival every year. I'll try to hold the camera steady now. All right. Also, I know I'm kind of mixing up the time a lot every day on these videos as the time changes and as I work to find a new routine in life. Things have been kind of tossed and turned with all the construction going on this week. Hopefully by next week I'll have settled into a new routine. Okay, I'm going to do 3 things now. I'm going to talk about the last 24 hours, then I'm going to go over the 8 objectives of my creed, and then I'm going to talk about my plan for the coming day, or the next 24 hours. First, the last 24 hours, yesterday and last night. So, this has been a strange week. It's been a hard week. We've had construction work going on at the house since Monday. It's Saturday, so literally this will be the 6th day, which is very unsettling to the rhythm that Yumiko and I had begun to develop at the house, mainly because of our dogs. They won't tolerate having strangers in the house, so we have to do something with them. So we have a routine where every morning, and this routine will continue today, I take Ollie over to Grandpa's house, and he spends the day with Grandpa, which Grandpa loves and Ollie loves. They both love each other very much. And then we go over there through the day to take Ollie for walks. Rudy, the white dog, he will only tolerate being with me. So he and I tend to hang out upstairs or in the garden, or we take long walks. So in any case, it's kind of a forced sequesterization away while the construction goes on. And that's harder than I would have imagined. Maybe it's my age, but having our seemingly becoming, just as we're beginning to settle into a life, kind of tossed and turned, is harder than I had imagined. So I struggled a little bit this week. It may have compounded some other things that are going on. I'll talk about that in a second too. Good news is the work has continued apace and the results are amazing. The new Japanese bath is done. Wow, it really is nice. Yesterday they finished the new toilet room, which looks great. And today they'll be working on finishing that, and then the Senmenjo. I don't know how far they're going to make it, if they'll continue into next week or tomorrow or whatever. Looking good. They encountered a few problems, a few pieces where they had to adjust a few things. So we'll go over the budget just a little bit, but we're still within range. We're in good shape. So there was that. So my only note, I keep a notebook. The only notes that I have for yesterday is one here that says, no fight, which is a strange note. And what that means is that I'm starting to realize that for the first time in my life, I'm without a fight. First time in my adult life. When I was around the end of high school, going off to college, my father did something. I'm not blaming him. It was just it was his perspective at the time, but it had a big influence on me. Well, first of all, my family kind of came apart when I was a teenager. Mom and dad were kind of gave up on parenting and were just phoning it in for the last few years. And then, as if to kind of put a nail in that coffin, my dad made it clear to both my younger brother and I, 19 months younger than me, that once we leave the house, that's it. We're not welcome back. Basically saying it's time for you to sink or swim, the two of you. And both dad and mom basically, it was we all. In addition to that, we both kind of got the message from both of them. Um, uh, don't call. How do you say it and sound charitable? It's not very charitable. Basically, there any further communication with our parents at that point would kind of be a one-way street. You know, they would carry on with their own life. You see, what happened was they both, you know, in the 50s when they met and got married, they were in high school. They're just following the recipe for young people at that stage, which is you finish high school, you get married, you start a family, etc. And then, like many people in the 70s and late 60s and 70s, you know, the hippies, which I would think my parents would kind of were deeply influenced by, you know, the whole "well, what about me" phenomenon happened. And they were like, yeah, well, what about me? And why am I doing all this stuff, you know, raising kids and careers that I hate and stuff like that. And so they basically, you know, wrote my brother and I off. So I didn't start this to diss on my parents, but I'm setting the stage for finishing college. I knew I had a one-way street ahead of me, and that one-way street, there would be no one to help me out, and I would have no one to fall back on. So I began what I would refer to as the fight, which is, I didn't see it really that much of as a fight, but the effort to support myself, to realize, because I had been also at that same time been instilled with this idea that, as so many people in my generation did, I think in a lot of generations, but especially those of us, those late baby boomers like me, you know, that we have some mission to fulfill in life, that we're special in some way. We have to do something. So I set out after high school to just get an education, start a career, so to speak, or at least if not start a career, support myself, be independent, make sure that I don't ever have a situation where I have to go back, because I couldn't, to go back to anybody and ask for help. So make sure that I got an education and could support myself, and did something that would constitute something special, like write a book or something like that, or have some sort of an adventure. So then I spent the next 40 years doing just that. All my jobs that I've had, the career that I built, the family that I made, the marriage that I entered into, the books that I've written, all of that stuff. And I would call that, the word that came to mind, the word that I wrote down is fight. No fight. I've been for 40 years fighting to succeed, or at least to not fall down. It's like kind of like climbing a mountain, knowing that without a rope, knowing that if you fall, you're going to die. You have to keep on climbing, but you have to keep on climbing. Why? Because that's what people do. They're compelled to climb. And now I've reached some summit, not the summit, but I've reached a plateau, and I've found a little safe like an edge that I can stand on now that I'm retired. My daughter's raised, my book is written, all these things are done, and I'm standing here nice and safe, and I'm no longer compelled to climb. I don't need to work anymore. So there's no necessity. My dad, who was the main influence with regard to all of this, is long gone, 30 plus years. So I don't feel that, and I'm mature enough now to not, I think, largely have my sense of success defined by my impression of what my father would think. I don't think I think that way at all anymore. I'm satisfied with I'm satisfied with what I've done in life, raising my daughter and writing my book and living the story that I lived. I am. So it's not, I don't feel motivated to do that anymore. And there's no longer necessity for work anymore. You see where this is headed, right? It's a classic dilemma that a lot of retired people, I think, get to, which is, I've fulfilled the mission and the mandate of my life, both the decided and the imposed by necessity, imposed by society. And now I'm left with the seeming luxury of free time, of ample free time, and a beautiful circumstance to enjoy it. And then you sit there and you go, well, now what? Now, I know and people are going to be tempted, those that might see this video, tempted to begin listing out a litany of things that one can do to fill their time. I'm well aware of those things. I don't need to begin listing them out. There's plenty of things that one could do to fill the time, but therein lies the crux of the matter. Now, and I can do those things. I have those things. I have plenty of things that I can do. I have things that I can do that are time fillers, and also things that I can do that are very worthwhile. But the thing is, it's kind of more of a philosophical dilemma of realizing that all of this has been worthwhile and useful filler all along. I said useful too, right? I mean, it wasn't in vain that I raised a daughter. That was a very, very important thing. And one could rest their hat on that alone, right? Getting a child into adulthood and having them off on their own, successfully on their own, is that alone, that one thing in life. If you can do that, then we can rest our hat on that and be fine with that. But even that, I know, is this contrived filler. It's like the mini stop. I've talked about it a lot. There's the owner over there, and I think he owns a couple of mini stop convenience stores. He's older than me. He's probably 5 years older than me, and it's like I go there at 4:30 in the morning. He's there every morning, and he bustles around. He's the most energetic man, and I know what he's doing. He's filling his life with, and he's owned that mini stop for decades. He's filling his life with the busyness, the useful busyness that gives one meaning. The contractor that's working on our house is the same way. He's probably late 60s. He's had a very successful career as a contractor. He knows all of the subcontractors, all of the men of the trades around here. And he keeps working because it gives him great fulfillment in being a part of a larger endeavor around him. And more, I'm starting to realize that even though my career ate me alive from the inside, in a way, it did the same thing. So too did being a parent. So too did the adventuring that I had, writing the books that I wrote, even planning the next adventures. Yumiko and I have always changed homes every 2 or 4 years, more like every 2 years. Even that did it as well. And now I'm suddenly in a place where we've bought our last house. I mean, it really does feel that way now. We paid cash for it. Now we're doing all the renovations. Retired. Our daughter is grown. My books are all written. My body is beginning to decline. Actively, quickly decline. That's a position that's worth some deep thinking and reflection. So I'm just kind of reporting, as I do in these videos. I report on the state of things and how I plan to meet challenges and move forward. So the comment no fight simply means that I'm observing that without the fight of life, there is a kind of a sense of being a little bit lost. It's not a pleasant thing. And I'm not looking for a fast answer. I have plenty of things that I could rush in to fill the void. And I'm holding off on all of that, putting it all in kind of a holding pattern while I explore this stage of life, this shelf that I found myself on, climbing the mountain, right? Instead of saying, well, okay, I need to start climbing again, or whatever, or maybe start to rappel down. What an idea! See, that's what I mean. This is interesting, right? I mean, maybe rappelling down is an option, right? Maybe it's not a matter of just, well, okay, well, here, Kurt, fill your life with X, Y, and Z and get busy, like the guy at Mini Stop or our contractor, or the people that I knew at work who had been working for 4 decades plus, that could have retired 10, 15 years ago, but keep on working because they know better. They've told me as much. They've told me that the time beyond work, they wouldn't know what to do with it. So I'm not going to offer answers to this question at this point. I'm simply pointing out that I'm there on the shelf. Things have begun to quiet. The dust of the big move is done. Yumiko and I are settling in. I redid the finances yesterday because we had to update the budget a little bit given the extra costs that came up with this remodel. We're still doing fine. And I'm just going to sit on it and think a little bit. I'll leave that at that. Okay, as for my creed. Okay, but part of the reason I wanted to put that out there is that I have friends that are the same age. In fact, I'm meeting some of them today. In fact, from America, they're here in Shizuoka, and they're ahead of me on the retirement schedule. Be interesting to see how they. I'm going to talk to them today. Be interesting to talk to them and see how they're doing with all this. Well, I think I know. I think they've thrown themselves into civic engagement, volunteer work, etc. So it would be interesting to hear their report. Anyway, I do want to share this also because I have friends who are in exactly my age, through exactly the same circumstance I'm in right now, and if they see this, maybe that will be useful to them. Maybe it's also useful to anyone that's coming along or that's already been there, right? Maybe you've been there and you've gone through this. It'd be interesting to hear your comments. Okay, the 8 objectives of my creed consist of the following things: to be always ready to die, to make good and effective use of time, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to perform good actions, to recognize my true limits and true opportunities, pardon me, to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully, and to keep my balance. Okay, as for today, I already hinted a little bit about it. Someone very, very special is here in Shizuoka. Arrived last night, and I'm going to spend some time with them today. I think I mentioned before that when I went back to America in 2014, I went alone first. My wife and daughter stayed here for 14 months. Ostensibly, that was to give us time to work on my wife's green card. In fact, it was also a buffer in case I failed, because I was on probation when I first went to America for the first job that I got for a year. At which meant that I could have been fired in a moment's notice, and I didn't want to have that happen and have a wife and daughter to support in America without a job. So coincidentally, and it was coincident, I didn't plan this. Coincidentally, it took 14 months to get the visa, and I had a year of probation to get through. All that was good. Now, why is that important? Why is that relevant to the person that's here today? Well, when I first got the job, I think I succeeded. My career went very well. I was there for 11 years back in America as an IT project manager. I started off as a business systems analyst, 2, then became a business systems analyst 3, then became a project manager, and then a lead project manager after that. So I had 4 steps in my 11-year career. So I went out at the top of my game. And here's the thing. When I first got there, I was not qualified for the job that I had received. I had kind of talked my way into it. I had gained some certifications. I had done some things. I'm good. I give good interviews, and I've always gotten every job I've ever applied for. I really do well at interviews. And so when I got this one, but I really wasn't qualified. And that I didn't get, and I came close to getting fired at first. They gave me a hard project to do. I fell flat on my face immediately, and probably the organization would have been well within its rights to just fire me outright, to realize, oh crap, we hired this guy, Kurt, and he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. That's what probation is for, to get rid of people like this. If we didn't weed them out from to begin with, let's get rid of them now. And they would have been well. That would have happened. I started work in February. Excuse me. That would have happened around April. You know, it took them about 2 months to realize I wasn't qualified, and I did get fired from the project. So what happened was, they took me off the project. They gave it to a more qualified person, and assigned me to puppy dog after that person, giving me a chance to learn from that person what to do. And I did. Now, like I said, they would have been well within their rights to just fire me outright, which would have left me on the streets without a job, with a family in Japan, my wife and daughter, and no way to support them. That would have been a disaster, because I gambled everything coming to America. Really dodged a bullet there. Anyway, there were two people that were involved in the decision to keep me around, and the more powerful of the two is the one that's here today. And I'm going to meet that person, and I'm very grateful. And they know, I've told them before how grateful I am. They gave me a chance, and I realized right away what had happened. I realized how close I'd come to losing the job. And I rolled up my sleeves. I was really lucky, again, that I was alone. My wife and daughter weren't here. I could really just fold myself into the work. I was 50, I think I was 50 years old. Fold myself into the work, and I really focused on becoming good at the job. And I did. It took me about 1.5 years, 2 years, and I got good. And then I just started skyrocketing from there. And like I said, I went through three subsequent promotions after that before I finished my career as a senior project manager. So that person's here. They're retired, and they're touring Japan, and we're going to get together, and I'm gonna spend the afternoon with them. So I'm really looking forward to that. So that's what I've got in mind for today. All right, that's it. Let me read any comments. Erica, hi Erica. Hope all is well. Thank you. It is. Hello DT. Good morning to you. And Michelle. Hello Kurt and everyone. Good morning to you, Michelle. All right, well, I'm going to sign off for now, go home, and get started on this day. I wish everybody all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care.